I am very aware of my privilege. I grew up very comfortable. My parents are extremely generous. And I think for me, that definitely places me at like a higher starting point than the rest of my peers. And because of that, I try to internalize that as much as possible and use that as like a driving force as to why I need to work that much harder because I've been given so much. My name is Chloe Tan. I'm 21 years old and I made $93,000 last year as an international student in Chicago, Illinois. I am half Singaporean, half Chinese Indonesian, Singaporean by nationality, and I moved to Shanghai when I was around 3 years old, and I stayed there until I was 17, where I moved to Chicago. I'm an international student at the University of Chicago studying economics and data science, and I'm a rising senior. I first started tutoring in around 2016 to 2017. I have a younger brother who's 4 years younger than I am. And one day he and his friends came over and they were looking to prep for a debate competition. I was just nosy and I asked them if they'd like some help. And after that, week by week, they would start gradually bringing more and more friends over. And at some point, my mom said, hey, maybe, you can consider starting, to tutor some of them. And that's kind of where it started. They are international students studying in Shanghai, and I prepped them for the International Baccalaureate English Literature, honors level curriculum. There's always been a really strong demand for tutoring at a really high level in Shanghai, I think, and especially catered towards, international students. And now I've actually been more selective, and there's a bit of a waiting list right now for some of my classes. So as of now, I spend around 5 to 6 hours of actual just tutoring per week. It probably takes me an hour to 2 hours per week to prep for this as well. And because of the obvious time zone difference, I schedule all of them to be on my Friday nights. My university tuition fees are pretty astronomical. My parents are very generous and I am super privileged and grateful to have them pay for my college for me. And last quarter, they paid over $20,000 in school fees. My parents don't pay for anything consistently monthly, and that's because I asked them to instead hand me a sum of money that I can, embed into my own income and allocate as I see fit. So I pay for my own rent, utilities, discretionary, transportation, et cetera. And a big part of that reason is because I feel like my parents have done so much for me. And the minimum I could do is at least during college when I feel like there is a bit more, like a safety net, a buffer before you're officially set out into the real world. This is like the best time for me to learn how to manage my household income and spending. All of my monthly income goes directly into savings, and I would take, $1,000 to $2,000, and that would usually last me however much it does. I think in the US, people make a lot of assumptions about you based on how much money they think you have. Some people on campus think I dress a little bit too flashy, and some people don't care about it at all, and I probably fall into that latter category. My mom is super generous in, passing down all of her luxury designer things that she no longer uses. Everything nice I own is essentially a gift or passed down by her. These are, gifts and things that have been given to me by my parents, and I am very grateful for them. And I wear them because it reminds me of them and not because I'm trying to flex it. I don't have to spend too much money on new things, but I think a good example of something I did spend money on would be a pair of shoes. I bought a pair of very expensive heels 4 months ago because I don't own a single pair of heels and I thought it might be time to invest in a nice pair. So I bought a pair. That pair of heels cost me just over $1,000 and they're definitely the most expensive thing I've bought for myself. It took me 2 months to budget for, but hey. You know how college students say that there's like a holy trinity, triangle, right? You have sleep and you have social life and you have academics. Well, for me, I've chosen everything but sleep. So I have ADHD, and the main way that affects my productivity is I feel like instead of having energy like rises and dips throughout the day. I have them throughout the week and sometimes throughout like 2 to 3 weeks. Like sometimes I would feel extremely motivated for the span of like 2 days, and I'd be able to get like a week's worth of work done in like those 2 specific days. And then for the rest of the week, I would just be in a slump and just not do anything. And so for me right now, the way I balance my life is I will dedicate full days to kind of like to emulate like tech sprints. So I'll have a full 2 to 3 days of the week where I only focus on like academic work. And then I have a full 1 to 2 days of the week where I just fully focus on my hobbies, or I just fully like go like watch anime or read manga or like catch up on TV shows or paint. And that's kind of how I divide my time. It's a little bit unconventional, and it only really works out because I have more control over my time right now because I'm a college student. I applied to UChicago early decision round 1, and so I think among all the schools in the US, UChicago was definitely my top pick, but the other top contender was Oxford University. My parents were unequivocally like supportive of anything I chose, which is amazing, and I picked here because I think I wanted to work in the US more after college. So first of all, if you're in a STEM field, it is significantly easier for you to get a work visa. I'm really lucky in that aligns with my interests and I'm able to pursue that. But that may not be the case for everybody. And the second of all is that you can really apply to large companies that can sponsor your visa. I would want to, in a perfect world, to go into the tech field with a larger tech company that would be able to sponsor my visa. Hypothetically, if you wanted to work for like a startup after you graduate as an international student, that's virtually impossible. As a result, I feel like a lot of international students are kind of funneled towards, larger companies with very established systems. And I don't know, I feel like that personally has affected my career choices, and I think it's probably the same for a lot of other international students. I think for me, as of now, it's pretty easy to like live within my means and live within my income. But, that's with the mindset that I'm like a privileged college student living like a comfortable life. And that's also me, saying this with like the knowledge that if anything were to occur, my parents would be there as like a support system for me. My dream job straight out of college would be a product manager at a tech company. Ideally, something customer facing. So like, designing a product for like customers to use. I think that'd be just very fun. My personal savings goal is to save $300,000 by the time I'm 27. There's no particular reason why I chose the number 27. I just felt like I wanted it to be like after 25, but then not 30 just yet. I just kind of like plucked 27 out of thin air. There's not a specific purpose that I'm saving this money for, but ideally it would go to something like a mix of like business school or grad school and down payment for a house.